Okay, let's talk about the linear search. Linear search is about searching out a particular value within the array. Linear search is called linear because we look for that value in the array one after the other. We look for the value for the first index. On the first index, if it is not found on the first index, then we'll move on to the next index and then to the next one. So here I'll show you two methods that can be used for the linear search. First, I'll use a simpler method where I'll just declare the array and then we'll initialize them and then we'll look for the value by using the repeat loop. Second, I'll show you the second method in which we're going to create a function for the linear search and we'll call that function. Okay, so let's start with the declaration of the array. This is the declaration of the array. Declare array 1 till 5 because my array is 5 indexes. I have used a variable over here, array size, and I have initialized this value before declaring the array. I have declared this as a global variable because I'll be using this array size here within my function for the second method. Okay, so those who are just using the simpler method, for them you are not required to use a variable. You can simply write on 5 here instead of giving a reference of the variable. So this is how we can declare our arrays 1 till array size of integer, and then we'll have 5 indexes. For each index, when the data is given to you in the exam paper, then you just need to initialize the data according to the value that are given in the paper. So for that you have to write down the index number individually for all the index numbers. For first index, the value would be 38, second index is 86, third index is 23, fourth index is 47, and array 5 index. Keep that in mind. You need to write down the array name and then in square brackets write down the index number, assignment operator to assign the value. So this is how this is the declaration of the array. And the second part, I'm telling you again, if the data is given to you in the paper and you need to initialize, so this is the only way you can initialize the array because the data is mostly given in the form of a table. So we pick up the value and we need to put them in exact same index number. So this is the method that you can initialize. If data is not given and it's said that the data is pre-stored, then there is no requirement for this part. Data would be pre-stored for you within the array, or sometime they might ask you that the array has been declared for you, data has been initialized, then the whole part is not required. The second part is to search for the value within the array, and let's see how we can design the logic to search out the value from the given array. Okay, so for that I have declared one first variable is value to find, which value you want to find within that array. So declare the variable name. Keep that in mind. The variable names must relate with the situation and you must have to write the comments. Okay, so value to find is the variable, and I'll be requesting the user to give me the value for this particular variable. Second variable that I have declared is found, for which I have given the data type is boolean, which is going to hold the value either true or false. And before searching the value, I have initialized found as false. Then I've given the prompt to the user, which is very important. If you won't give the prompt, user won't be able to understand which value they want to get as an input. So input value to found. Then I have declared the counter variable because I'll be using the repeat until loop. So for repeat until, you always have to declare the counter variable outside the loop and initialize it outside the loop, and then you need to increment the counter manually within the loop. This is the rule that you need to learn for the while loop. For the repeat loop, that counter variable will be declared and initialize outside the loop, and inside the loop you need to manually increment or decrement the counter variable, because in for loop, you just have to say for counter is equals to 1 till 10, and then next counter will be giving you this particular step automatically. But that's not the case for the repeat, until, and while loop. Now repeat, if array of counter, like the first index, is equals to the value that has been input by the user, then value to found on the index number, then just find output on which index number that value was found, and output that counter also, and found will become true. Okay, if value is not found in on that particular index number, then say else counter is equals to counter plus 1, and if, and then until found is equals to true or counter becomes greater than 5. Okay, because my array size is 5, if the value is found on the index number 1, then I need to terminate the loop there and then. If not found, so it will search on all 5 elements, and if the counter becomes 5 greater than 5, then we need to terminate. Okay, otherwise if the value is not found, so I said if found is equals to false. Okay, or you can also write down if not found. Okay, if not found, then output value not found, and if. Okay, if found is equals to false, or you can write down if not found, then output not found. So this was the syntax for the learners, those who are learning the basic concepts. I would like you to just learn the concepts till yet. Okay, till here. Let's execute the program. So this was the prompt I was telling you. If you won't write the program prompt, the user won't be able to understand why and which value is required over here. So let me insert a value which is not in the array, which is 90. So giving you the answer value not found. Let's execute this again and give the value 38. Yes, value found on index number 1. Let me execute this again. This time I will enter 12. Yes, so value found on index number 5. One more interesting thing is that you can always go and look for the trace table. So when you'll run, so it will ask you the value. So this is initialized array size is 5, found is equals to false, and these are the elements of the array 38, 86, 23. So this is basically telling you the background, how the things has been done for you within the memory. Okay, in index number 1, the first index is 38, second index to 86, 47, 12, and found is equals to false initially. Okay, and let's input value which is 47. Okay, so yeah, so let's see, it has executed index number counter 1, 2, 3, 4 times, and on fourth index it found the value 47, and found becomes true, and the loop will be terminated. And this is how you will understand the concept of the linear search. You can also download this trace table for the sake of your understanding. The second part is that you can create a function. So when you create a function, linear search, you can here to find an integer. Now this is basically when you want to ask the user to give you the value as input. Like here I have requested the user to input the value which I want to search for. Okay, keep that in mind. In functions we don't have to write down the input statements. Whatever inputs are required, we have to declare them here as a parameter. Okay, so I'll say function linear search to find integer returns boolean, and we need to specify what kind of value would be output if the loop will execute properly. So returns boolean, it will return either true or false. For n is equals to 1 to array size, if array of n is equals to find. Now I have used for loop over here to search for the particular value, because I don't want to output on which index number that I found. So I have just executed for the five times my loop one till array size, and here I'm telling you again I'm using this global variable which I have declared at the starting of the program. So one till array size, if array of n is equals to 2, fine, then return true, and if next n, otherwise it will return false. So when I'll just call this function, now whenever you need to call a function, we have to use the output statement, because in function we don't write any output statement, we use return statement. So when a function returns you a value, okay, keep that in mind while you're writing. Here we have to write down returns, and here we'll write down return. Okay, now whenever we write a function, we just return the value, return whatever you want to output. Okay, so when you want to call a function, we have to call it with the output statement. So output the function name linear search, and within the parentheses I have written the value that I want to call, I want to check. So 47 and 48, 47 exist in the array which is on index number 4, and 48 does not exist. So when I'll execute, so probably I should get a true for this statement and a false for this statement. And I have not commented this one, so let me just cut it out, which is not required. Okay, yeah, so I've called it. The first one is 47 and the second one is 48, and you can also like output the return the value that whatever is found on which index number. Now suppose I change this inputs 38, and for the first one I'll just change it to 38 which exists in the array, and for this I'll write down 23. Let us call out another one, output. So this is the beauty of the functions. You can call it by using simply the function name and as many as times you want. So at this time I'll just input suppose 45, which is not. So for the first two I should be getting a true, and for the last one I'll get a false. Yes, true, true or false. So this was it for the linear search.